I'm here at USAR 2014 at UCLA, and I'm speaking with Tal Galili.
Hi, Tal.
Hi.
So here's a question. So you have a view of R, you have an opinion about R. Where do you think R as a technology, as a community, however you want to answer, is going in the future?
Wow. So I think this morning we had a wonderful talk by John Chambers.
Yes.
Which was, I think, a very humbling and important talk. And he was emphasizing how much R is, in his mind, an interface language. I had the person saying to me once that, well, R, Python, they're all just nice wrappers to see. And I think that there is a lot of truth to that, because you want to have a tool which is very easy to work with. But the truth of the matter is you can't have one tool that solves everything.
Sure.
And I think the that there is many.
Okay.
But the fact that there are so many different technologies these days, diversification. The fact that you have so many different technologies today, one has to ask himself, where does R fit?
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy for me to go to people who are using SPSS or SAS and say to them, well, if you really want a GUI and everyone in your department uses SPSS, fine, keep using it. But if you want something that is more powerful and allows you more control, you probably want to move to R. Not because it's free, but because it's so flexible, it's so well thought out, and it's built for this type of thing. So what I did in my thesis, I see no way of doing in SPSS in a reasonable time span and development time. So R has a role in the world for people coming from that background. But for people who are in computer science and are coming from large data, big data, data science, all these buzzwords that we're hearing. Mm-hmm. These people are looking for solutions for problems that R was not designed originally to solve. Yeah. And I think that Chambers and other people are very humbled to recognize that R by itself can be a wonderful wrapper and a language that offers its community and other people who would join it a nice tool to interface to other technologies. Sure. So I think that the most interesting thing we see right now is how this is more and more becoming understandable by the community. I think that more and more people are talking about it and are seeing R as a good interface and are really finding wonderful solutions of how to interface R to other things. So I think that's one very interesting thing to think about when dealing with the R community, of how it is an interface and what should it interface to and in which way. So that's one thing. Yeah. A second thing which I think is interesting in terms of the future of R, I think there is a sociological, very interesting thing about how the R community is organized. So you have repositories, you have RForge, which I feel like less and less people are using. You have GitHub, which more and more people are using. You have CRN, which I think is very valuable, and I really hope it would continue existing as a curated resource, which is in some way more verified than GitHub. So you have those elements. You have the R core element, which I haven't figured out yet. I don't know where it's going and how it's going, but these are incredible people who are giving a lot from themselves, and I really hope there would be good ways for the community to contribute back to them and to have them continue their work. There are many different interesting people trying to re-implement R interpreters in C++ and in Java. And I think these are very interesting projects, not because I would like to use them, but because it would be interesting if eventually, 10 years from now, we would as a community gravitate to a different implementation that would be better built from the ground up than R was, because it wasn't designed for many things that it's used now. Also, I think something that I found, so R bloggers, for example, it solves a problem, which is how can we know fast about new things people are doing, as opposed to what forums and Stack Overflow solves, which is how can we get help. Yeah. So getting help is wonderful. It's not what you're going to get in R bloggers. So I tell bloggers you can't ask questions as your post. Your post is supposed to be something you're answering to people. Sure. So these are problems that are already solved. Oh, and one more thing I wanted to say just about the future of R. I think the most, it would sound maybe funny, but I think that I get to experience a lot of new technologies and new developments in the R community over and over. And it's rare that I come across something that I say, wow, this is really revolutionary in some sense. R Studio, I think, was one of those things that I said, wow, that's incredible. A lot of visualization things that are going on, the optimization, the high performance computing, there are a lot of very impressive, interesting stuff going on all of them are revolutionary. One thing that I really got very enthusiastic about was piping.
Yeah.
So piping is the simplest concept you can think about, but
Comes from Unix.
yeah.
Yeah.
But so for people who are not aware of what piping is, you should go discover it. I learned about it from Hadley through his implementation in the dplyr.
Yeah.
And he's really basing his work, I think, on Magritter, and the guy who authored Magritter insists on saying it in a French accent, so I was thinking Magritter or something like that. But it's a very simple package. It lets you move an object from a result of an object from one function to the other, to the next one. And for me, as someone who's developed this dend-extend package for dendrogram manipulation, the way you're doing it is that you take the dendrogram object, you modify something in the attributes, and you result in a new dendrogram, and then you pass it to another function, then you update the object again. And it's not the workflow you need for everything in R, obviously, but for something like dendrograms, that's the way you want to do it. So for me, I saw this thing yesterday, and I was like, oh my God, this is perfect, because this is exactly the way you would want to modify dendrograms.
Yep.
So I think this is conceptually, in the way people use R, I think this is conceptually a really revolutionary concept to be introduced to data analysts. I think that this is, I mean, it's incredibly simple, but it's amazing how something so simple, I believe, is really so important.
Well, it's a change
So
of
really
verbs.
go learn about it. And if this is going online, you should give links to everything, so also give a link to that.